As we start, we're going to be doing Chapter 2, Section 5, so that's 2.5. And whenever we start, we always start with the learning target or the learning goal for the day. And the learning goal for today is to add and subtract fractions with like denominators. Notice that with like denominators. In other words, the same denominator. We need a couple of vocabulary words here. The first vocabulary word is like fractions. Like fractions are fractions that have the same denominator, and that's the specialty ones we're going to be dealing with here. To add or subtract like fractions, we add or subtract the numerators and write the results over the original denominator. All right, so let's look at one of those. If we look at, we've got 1/5 plus 3/5. We simply add our numerators together and keep the denominator the same. So 3 plus 1 is 4 over 5, 4/5. So 1/5 plus 3/5 is 4/5. If we look at another problem, here's a subtraction problem. We do have like fractions because we have the common denominator, and we're going to say it's 1 minus 3. Of course, we make that 1 plus a negative 3. 3 minus 1 is 2, and we take the negative sign, so it's negative 2 over 8. That, of course, could be reduced. Negative 2 over 8 could be a negative 1 over 4, negative 1/4. Same thing holds true in algebra. We have a over c plus b over c is equal to a plus b, all of it divided by c, but we do have to have the stipulation that c cannot be equal to 0. That's an undefined term. Here's a subtraction problem. We have a over c minus b over c, and we do the subtraction in the numerator, put it over the common denominator, and it cannot be equal to 0. So let's do some problems with numbers to get used to it first. We have 3/10 plus a negative 15/16. Hang on a second. We do not have common denominators here, so these are not like fractions. I have to change them so they're in like fractions, which means I have to find a common multiple of 10 and 16. I think they would both go into the number 80, so I'm going to take this fraction times 8 over 8. I'm going to multiply those, and I'm going to multiply this fraction times 5 over 5. So this part of the fraction becomes 8 times 3 is 24, and 8 times 10 would be over 80, plus a negative 15 times 5, which would be a negative 75, over 16 times 5, which would also be 80. At this point, I do have like fractions, so I can simply add the numerators. I have 24 plus a negative 75 over my denominator of 80. 24 plus a negative 75 would be 75 minus 24. It'd be 51 over 80. 51 over 80, but I'm sorry, I do need to bring the negative sign along. So it's a negative 51 over 80, and I don't see how that can be reduced. As I look at the next problem here, the next problem, I do have the common denominator, so I can simply add my numerators. I've got 2 plus a negative 8 over 9. 2 plus a negative 8 is negative 6. Negative 6 over 9 can be reduced. 3 will go in there 3 times. I'm sorry, 3 will go in there twice. 3 will go in there 3 times. It'll be 2/3, and it's negative. A negative 2/3 is that what that's equal to. A negative 7/10 minus 9/10. They do have the common denominators. So I can simply say it's negative 7 minus 9. They have the same sign in the numerator, so I add them. It's a negative 16 over 10. That's an improper fraction, so I need to reduce that. It would be 1, negative 1 and 6/10. 6/10 can be reduced to 3/5. So the answer is a negative 1 and 3/5. Negative 1 and 3/5. Down here, I've got a negative 7/8 minus 5/8. So I'm going to say a negative 7 minus 5, all of it over 8. Negative 7 minus 5 is, of course, negative 12. Negative 12 over 8. I can do some reducing here. I can, first of all, put that in there. 8 will go into 12 one time, and that would be then a remainder of 4/8. So it'd be a negative 1 and 4/8. The 4/8 part can be reduced to 1/2. So I'd be negative 1 and 1/2 is my final answer. Right, 2 and 5/8 plus 6 and 1/8. Well, I think I can just add my whole numbers out front, 2 plus 6, and I get 8. And then I can add my fractions, and I can say 5/8 plus 1/8 becomes 6/8. 6/8 can be reduced. 2 will go in there 3 times, 2 will go in there 4 times, 3/4. So my total answer would be 8 and 3/4 is my answer. 8 and 3/4 is my answer. The next problem, I've got 3 and 3/10 plus 4 and 1/10. I'm going to add my whole numbers out in front. I'm going to get 7. And I'm going to say then 3 plus 1 over 10. 3 plus 1 would be 4/10. 4/10 can be reduced to 2/5. So it'd be 7 and 2/5 is my completed answer. In this country, the average height of a 9-year-old girl is 53 and 4/5 inches. The average height of a 16-year-old girl is 64 and 1/4 inches. How much does the average girl grow between 9 and 16? In other words, what's the difference between the 9-year-old and the 16-year-old? So I've got 64 and 1/5 minus 53 and 4/5. All right, so I'm going to make this into improper fractions. 64 times 5 . 320 plus 1, so it'd be 321 over 5 minus, and again, I'm going to make this from a mixed numeral into an improper fraction. I'm going to go 53 times 5. 265 plus 4 would be 269. So I've got 321 over 5 minus 269 over 5. So I'm actually going to do the numerator subtraction here. It's 321 minus 269. All of that's over 5. Eleven minus 9 would be 2. 11 minus 6 would be 5. So it'd be 52 fifths of inches. As a mixed, as an improper fraction, I need to reduce that. It would be 10 and 2/5 of an inch is how much the average student grows in that time. Thank you.